This is how I built a backdrop set for about $300 to shoot cosplays and commissions in front of. First, I measured where I had my old backdrop set up. I bought 8 yards of canvas at 40% off, so the total for the whole roll was $40.62. I had to splice together 3 pieces in order to fill the space that I needed for my backdrop. It took quite a while to iron all of that yardage out, and then I stitched my seams together, and I also serged along the edges because I wasn't going to properly finish and I didn't want it to fray. Press your seams really well, and then I went out into the driveway to do the primer coat just so I had a large area to prime in, but it was really hot, so I ended up moving inside for the second coat. My paint rollers were $11.96 and my gallon was $21.97, and I picked a steely gray color to go with my backdrop color for the main base. The quart of paint I chose was $10.98, and it's a darker color than the base, so I kind of did a glaze on it so it has a nice mottled cloudy look. And then on top of that, I did a dry brush of a metallic gold just so it had a pretty sheen to it, and I installed grommets so I can hang it from the ceiling. I installed hooks to hang the backdrop from, so now we have step 1 complete with the backdrop. For the next part, I bought some chair rail at a hardware store for $25.62 and cut it to make a frame. My corner braces were $5.98, and I used those to attach my 3 pieces of frame together. I bought a bunch of decorative wood appliques for $49.97, and I played around to get them positioned exactly where I wanted them to be, and then I glued each of them down. After the glue dried, I primed them all, and once that dried, I took it outside to spray a base coat of black over the whole thing. I grabbed a metallic gold bottle of paint that I had here from other projects and used it to dry brush the entire frame so it has a nice vintage look. Now we can move on to the next prop for this set, which is going to be turning a cheap little table into a fancy table. The first thing I did with this was sand the top and prime it, and all of my paints for the table cost $16.47. I dry brushed gold onto the base and painted 2 more coats of white onto the top of the table. I painted a marble glaze on top of the table and did 2 coats of clear coat to make it really shiny so it looked like real marble, and then I put the base of the table together and finished. The next thing we need is a pretty vase to go on our table, so I bought this crappy lamp at a discount store for $24.99, cleaned the dirt off of it, and then I went to remove the electronics from it, which turned out to be a lot harder than I expected because I ended up having to saw through the vase. I thought it would just come apart, and of course I stopped to pet puppies. This took quite a while to get apart, so that's on me. Hopefully if you have to do this, it's easier. I spray painted the whole thing with a base of black and then did a light dusting of gold on top of the black so you still see a lot of the dark through it to give it a really nice antique look. I'm incredibly happy with the result, so I just have to put it together with a few more accent pieces. At the same discount store I bought the lamp at, I found this great piece of linoleum remnant. It was only $21.99. It's going to work out perfect as a base for everything. I bought a ton of fake flowers, which actually ended up being the most expensive thing. Even at 40% off, they ended up being $87.68. And my puppy brought me a sock to barter and exchange for a treat, so we always have to stop and make that happen. I trimmed all of my flowers down to fit where I wanted them, and then arranged them in the vase in a way that I thought was very pretty. I added a hook into one side of my gold frame, and now I get to put everything together. The first thing I do is roll out the floor, and it's a little wavy now, but over time it will definitely flatten itself out. I add my gold frame just a little bit off center, and the next thing I add is a piece of fabric that I had in my stash, so this one was a freebie, and I just hook it over that hook that I put in the frame and kind of spread it so it looks like it's spilling out. I throw my table and my vase in, and then I bring in the extra flowers that I purchased and kind of arrange them around the frame and the floor. This is the total cost breakdown. And now I have a beautiful full set to shoot costumes and commissions in front of at a fraction of the cost that it would have been to buy each piece already made. I hope this helps anybody trying to build a set of their own.